It's really fascinating and so creative and also incredibly time-consuming. And I'm wondering how you balance that with your other concerts, or is this like the bulk of your work and what you're thinking about most of the time? And I guess I'm curious what your life looks like.
Yeah, well, it's a little nuts right now. I mean, this has been my focus for the last week because of this concert, the marathon concert. But even then, the truth is, and I mean, I don't have to tell you guys this, you know what it's like to balance a life in New York with many, many different competing agendas. This is the fun stuff. I mean, I get to do this and I budget, 2 or 3 hours a day to think only about the flute. But the rest of the day is about everybody else's work. And I'm incredibly passionate about that too. It's about ICE's work. It's about a bunch of other nonprofits and small organizations that I'm involved with, their work. It's about my students at Harvard and their work and their ideas, their projects. And it's also about being an advocate and being on boards and helping with other organizations' fundraising causes, and listening to a lot of music, taking in a lot of new material. I'm constantly, I spend a lot of time listening to music and discovering and constantly asking how I can help people. I have a platform now. I didn't always have a platform, I have Harvard, I have ICE, and I have 5 years of a track record on this project, and I was helped by so many people, like George Lewis and John Zorn and Paulina Oliveros, people that when I moved to New York took me under their wing, and they didn't have any time, but they made time for me, they made time for ICE. And so I feel very strongly about spending the bulk of my energies on other people's projects and being an advocate for them. So yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, sure, I'd think about this all day long. But I have to say that, the tension, the tension between never having enough time to do what you really want to do, right? And being pulled by all of these other worthy energies, that tension's very productive creatively. We figure out who we are by having something to work up against. There's no such thing as a perfectly balanced creative life. I mean, maybe somebody has figured it out, but I doubt they're making very interesting art. It's always hard. I'm always reevaluating how I'm spending my time. And the one thing I can tell you, I have no hard and fast rules about any of this except to be fueled by your joy. And that sounds very simple and maybe a little Californian and hippie, but it actually is, I think that's the best piece of advice I can give you, because we all know what that is. That's why we do music. That's why we fell in love with our instrument. That's why we've given up so many other things to do what we're doing. But school and the biz and people and society, structures, hierarchies can beat that out of us, even the best and the most joyful of us. And when we're fueled by our joy in that intensely creative and committed and dangerous way, we are doing our best work. We're on our path. It doesn't matter what you're doing, how it's going for you professionally. Like, that is where you need to be. So, that's the philosophical advice I can share with you. On the practical side, the only thing I can tell you with certainty, because everything else is different for each person, is that practice time just gets harder and harder the busier you get and the more quote-unquote successful you get. Another word that I hate using. I don't think it means anything. It gets harder and harder. And the simple thing that you can always do is just say, these are the 3 hours a day when the phone goes off, and I get to commune with this little tube of metal. Like, I get to just spend this time. And yeah, I'm stressed out about having to learn this concerto and learn this page of this thing that's impossible, and and how am I going to keep this program that I haven't played in a while, like, on the back burner so that I can pull it out of my pocket next week. Sure, there's all of that. But if you can always remind yourself that this is a protected 2 or 3 hours a day, and you get to just commune with this tube, and you get to spend that time, you get to be attentive to it, energetically, spiritually, in any way that you choose to then. If you can remember those 2 things, whatever you do is going to be great, and it's going to be yours. And it's amazing how easy it is to forget and to get off of either one of those horses.